Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel if you're new. I'm Scarlet Siren. You can call me Scarlet. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving for all my American people out there. For all of you that are not American, I hope you guys had a great Thursday. Anyway, I do apologize for the lack of updates last week. Um, So, funny story, my tripod that I hold my camera on was in my closet, and I went to put something on the shelf above it, and it fell, landed on my tripod, and shattered it. So I had to go out yesterday and buy a new tripod, and then today it was a huge trial and error of getting everything set up, and hopefully this thing doesn't collapse. If you could see the setup in my, oh my god, guys, it's a mess. It's very janky. But hey, I am on a budget here. I am broke. Especially because, hey, my roommate moved out yesterday. So, yay. I mean, hey, get my house back. Happy about that. But, money's gonna be a little tighter than it was the last 2 months. So, anyway, without further ado, I do apologize, and I'm very sorry. And I do have something I want to touch upon. As I've said before, I see your requests. I do. I read every single comment. I see your requests. Every single time you request one, I write it down in my notebook, and I keep track of them all. I have them all, and I will get to them. But, I work a full-time job. I have pets to take care of. I have other things that I do. So, the reason I'm not doing a full-length album reaction today, which was what I had originally planned to do, is because I have other things that I have to get done today, so I don't have the time to, listen to a 40 some odd minute album and, do a reaction to it. That'll have to come at a later date. But just, my point is here, please be patient. Like, I see your requests. I see your comments. I do. I promise you, I do. But, like I said, I work, I have pets, I have my own side projects that I'm working on that take priority over this one. So if I don't get to your requests as quickly as you'd like, I do apologize. I'm sorry. But, I'm ultimately, if I have to let one of my side projects go, this would be the first one that would be, cut. Not to say that I don't appreciate your interaction, because I do. I do. I really, really do. And I appreciate you being so understanding with all the delays and things like that, but please just be patient. I will get to them. Now, that being said, this was a request on another video from, I don't remember the commenter. I just happened to see it and was like, oh, I already know that song, but we're going to do something a little different there. Because the comment was on my reaction to This Woman's Work by Kate Bush. And this person requested the song Breathing. Now, I am familiar with Breathing. I like that song very, very much. But I got to looking, online as one does, and I noticed there is a live performance of Breathing by Kate Bush. Kate is notorious for not doing that many live performances. So I am very excited to hear this, because it's not something that we get to hear very often. She does not tour. She doesn't do, award shows or talk shows or things like that. So her live performances, if you come across one you haven't seen, you're, where have you been? And apparently, where have I been? Because this is one that I have not seen. So I'm very excited to get into this because I love Kate Bush, but I don't know a lot about her as a live performer because again, there's not that much out there. I do know that she was the first person to do the wireless headset microphone that they fashioned out of a coat hanger, which was go you, Kate. You are an innovator, and we love you for that. Madonna would be nothing without you. um, so yeah, I'm excited to see this. I don't know. There are certain artists when you view their live performances, there are certain things you know you're going to get. When you watch a Florence and the Machine performance, you know you're going to get a lot of jumping around. She's probably going to be barefoot, more than likely. And you're going to get a lot of audience interaction with her. With Tori Amos, you're going to get some very, what's the word? Provocative piano playing. Depending on which performances you're looking at. If you're looking at earlier performances, especially. She doesn't do it as much now, but you know you're going to get at least some kind of variation on that. If you are looking at Stevie Nicks, you're going to get some anger in your performance, and that's just how it is. If you're watching Alison Krauss and it's a full-length concert, you're going to get a lot of talking in between songs. And I've seen that in person, and I love that. I love that she tells the stories of the songs and how she came to find them and what have you. So my point is, with Kate, we don't have a lot to go on. So we don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if this is going to be a full band performance. I don't know if it's going to be, with a handheld mic, with a headset mic. I don't know, because we just don't have a lot of live performances where Kate is concerned. I know usually she does the performances I've seen, she tends to use the wireless or the headset mic because, Kate was a dancer as well. So, it makes sense that she would want to have hands free to do whatever she was going to do. So, I don't know what to expect with this. I don't know if Kate plays like live instruments. I know there are some artists that can play instruments like Stevie Nicks or like Hayley Westenra, artists like that they can play instruments. They just don't when they perform live. And that's for various reasons. I don't know if Hayley's ever said why, but I know Stevie said that she just doesn't feel comfortable playing in front of an audience. So I don't know if Kate is like that. I do know that Kate plays, I think it's piano, maybe guitar. I think she might play both, actually. But I don't know if she does that on stage. I've never seen her do it, but I could be wrong. I frequently am wrong. So anyway, let's get into this. And wow, I can't believe there's a live performance I haven't seen yet. So, okay, here we go. Or haven't heard, rather. I love that the audience is already screaming. Okay, so it's an acoustic version of this song. I have no idea when or where this performance was either. But there's no info on it. But it is Kate at a piano, so that's...
Lost our chance.
I wasn't expecting that.
We're the first and the last. Ooh, after the blast, ships of plutonium are twinkling in every lung. I love my beloved. Ooh, all and everywhere. Only the fools blow it. You and me, new life itself is breathing, breathing, breathing my mother in, breathing my beloved in, breathing, breathing her nicotine, breathing, breathing the fall out in, out in, out in, out in, out in, out in, out in.
And if anybody doesn't know the story behind this song, we'll get into it at the end.
We are all going to die without.
I didn't know.
Quick, breathe in deep.
Oh wow, that was great.
Now leave us something to breathe.
I didn't know Kate could play this well.
Please leave us something to breathe. We all need something to breathe.
That was amazing. And I love how the audience was just so silent. I mean, at the beginning, when she first came on, of course, you know, applause, applause, applause. It's Kate freaking Bush. But, you know, the whole time she was playing and singing that, just silent. And I love that. I mean, I get that. And I think this really depends on the type of performance or artist that you're watching. Sometimes it's fine to, you know, scream and jump around, dance, whatever. You know, you would do that at like a Paramore show or like a Taylor Swift show. But for an artist like Kate, it seems like it would be a bit excessive. And I like that they respected the music and Kate as an artist enough to, you know, just listen. And a lot of that to do is also to do with different cultures. I know overseas it's considered rude to make any kind of noise during a performance, depending on where overseas you are. You know, obviously every country, every place is different, but a lot of places, you know, abroad, it's considered rude to, you know, scream or clap during a performance. You save that for, you know, after, once the song's over. So I really like that because I could hear it. And, you know, a lot of times that's the problem with live videos or things like that. You can't hear the artist over everybody screaming in the background. And it's kind of annoying. Like, there are some artists that the live performances of the song themselves are my favorite versions of the song because of like the way that something was changed or added, or a note was sung differently, or there's a different guitar riff or something like that. But what ruins it for me is the people in the background, you know, screaming so loudly that that's all I can focus on. So I like that they were quiet during this. Again, you know, and it depends on the type of music you're listening to. I wouldn't expect an audience to be that quiet if it was like Evanescence or something like that. You know, they wouldn't be that quiet for that. And that's fine, you know. But, okay, on to Breathing itself. The song, from what my understanding is that it is written from the point of view of a fetus in its mother's womb. And I believe it's a reincarnated fetus as well, simply because of the line, "I've been out before," you know, it seems like it's reincarnation. Um, and I think there was a war. I don't know, maybe it was the Cold War. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've read um the history of this particular song. But I do remember reading it because I was when I first the very first time I ever heard the song, I was like, "What the heck is she talking about?" Like I was so confused. I had no idea. And I like songs like that. I like that when you listen to it, you go, "What the hell?" I mean, I like there's something to be said for straightforward lyrics, no beating around the bush. I agree with that. But with when it's someone like Kate or say like Tori Amos or Stevie Nicks, somebody that's known for their lyrics being kind of confusing and hard to figure out, it's fun to kind of pick it apart and see if you can figure out what they were going for. And of course, you know, it's all subject to interpretation. And there are certain songs that I listen to that I'm like, oh, I know that this is what they meant, but I like this interpretation better. And that's the great thing about art is that you can interpret it however you want to. Even I've even seen things where like music or movies or books where things are very very clearly spelled out that it's one way. And yet you'll still get people that'll be like, "Oh, no, I interpreted it this way." Okay. I mean, sometimes I look at them and go, "But that doesn't make any sense." You know, that's clearly not the intention. And they're like, "Well, no, but..." And then you just kind of have to step back and say, "Hey, that's your prerogative. You're entitled to interpret this however you want." And that's why I like when things are vague and up for interpretation. And with this one, when I first heard it, I was like, up for interpretation's one thing, but I am just completely baffled. Like, I'm so confused. So I immediately, you know, was like, what is this song about? You know, Googling everything. And that was what I found out. And I really, really thought that was interesting. Kate has a tendency to pick the most bizarre perspectives to write from. And I love that. Like, Kate is one of those artists that I would want to just sit down and have a cup of tea and just talk about art. Talk about books, music, movies, the writing process that she has. I would just love to like just see how her brain works. Like to just have that kind of discussion and to see how she gets from point A to point B and sometimes goes from point A to point D, completely skips B and C, and you're like, how did we get here? And you know that there's some way that she got there, but trying to figure that out and follow her path, I would love to discuss art with Kate. I really would. Um, Anybody out there, internet world? Anybody got Kate's contact info? I'm kidding. Do not dox her if you do have it. I don't know how anyone could get it. Kate is notorious for, you know, being a very private individual. But if for some reason you do have it, leave her alone. I'm kidding. I don't really want anyone to, you know, destroy Kate's privacy like that. That wouldn't be right. But if the opportunity were ever to present itself for me to go and meet her and just discuss art, I'd jump on it just like that. I really would. She is one of those artists that I'm just like, how does your mind work? Like, please explain it to me. I want to know. I think I like this version of Breathing, but I hate to say it, but I think I like it better than the original because it is so stripped back and bare. It is Kate and a piano. And that's just, it's perfect. The Don't get me wrong, I love Kate's production choices. Some of them I'm kind of like, I don't know if I would have done that, but I understand the process as much as anyone can understand Kate's process, going back to my previous ranting. But I love when artists do something and it's just stripped back. The emotion in her, she is one of the most emotive singers I've ever heard. Like, she can just make you cry with just a simple note, and it's beautiful and heartbreaking and tragic, and I love it. And I really want to have that cup of tea with Kate. I really do. Anyway, yeah, I would go so far as to say I like the live version better than the original. Um, it was just so beautiful, and I could really hear the lyrics. And sometimes with certain productions that can be kind of difficult, especially if they like to use a lot of reverb on the vocals, or if the instrumentation kind of drowns out the vocals, they get buried in the mix. Sometimes that happens. That seemed to happen a lot with early Ethel Cain, um, when she was still trying to figure out her sound. Um, and that happens quite frequently, especially if you're the one doing all the mixing and mastering. And trust me, it's hard. That is the thing that I struggle with the most when it comes to my music, is how do I get the volume of everything perfectly mixed and mastered, and if there's something that I want to accentuate, how do I pull it forward in the mix but not make it overpowering? It's a very, very, very fine line to walk. It's very difficult, especially if you're like me and you really just kind of jumped into it not knowing what the hell you were doing, which is how I do most things. um Sorry, you guys, someone just pulled up outside my house with a radio absolutely blaring. I doubt you guys can hear it, but it just kind of distracted me for a moment. Um, yeah. Anyway, back to Kate Bush. Um, I know a lot of people, like, gave me grief for not liking the original Wuthering Heights. Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know that is blasphemy in the Kate Bush fandom. I know, and I know what she was going for. I do, but and I can appreciate that. I appreciate the artistry and the intent behind it. But for my ears, I'm just like, I just can't do it. And I think that Kate is one of those artists that you either love or you hate. There's no real middle ground there. Um, it's either one extreme or the other. You either love her or you hate her. And for the longest time, I was in the hating category. I was, because I didn't get it. Like, I had heard Wuthering Heights because I had read the book. I read the book in high school, and I read it so many times that my best friend was like, "Why don't you just steal the copy from the library? Because you keep checking it back out." She's like, "You read this book every couple months. Why don't you just steal it and keep it?" And I was like, "Well, number one, because that's wrong, and this way, somebody else can, read it. And if I decide to, I might just, buy it," which, surprisingly enough, I do not own a copy of Wuthering Heights. As many times as I've read it, and I just checked it out at the library a couple months ago, and I do not know why I have not purchased my own copy of that yet, because it is one of my absolute favorite books. And so I read the book in high school, and the way that it's written, if you have not read the book, the way that it's written is it is written in alternating POVs. But the problem is, it is never specified when they switch. So you have to pay very, very close attention, and it jumps around in time a lot. It goes from present day, well, not present day, but present day for that time period, and then it goes into the past, and then it jumps back, and then it goes back, and then it can get very confusing if you don't pay attention, especially if you're trying to read it in high school and you don't have all your cognitive thinking yet. Because I was dumb as hell in high school. I mean, not really, but I I was definitely definitely didn't have the awareness to probably appreciate it as much as I do now. But so I was reading this book over and over and over again, and I found out that there was a movie, which I've seen. I've seen just about every version of Wuthering Heights that there is, except for the newest version. I've not seen that one. And every single version, they always mess it up somehow. They either leave out the second generation of kids, or it just, something always gets messed up. However, I do really like the version with Ralph Fiennes. It's not great, but it's kind of a guilty pleasure movie for me. I do really, really like it. And it kind of started my love affair with Ralph Fiennes as an actor. I love him. He's got just such a great voice. I love his voice. It is so fantastic. Side note, if you haven't seen The Menu, he's fantastic in that. Very, very good. Not what I was expecting, but very, very good. Anyway, so I watched Wuthering Heights, read it, did reports on it in school, everything. And then I found out that there was a song written about it, and it was, of course, Kate Bush. And this was back when YouTube was just getting started, if that gives you any indication of how long ago this was. And so I looked up the video on YouTube, and there are two videos. The first video I saw was the US version, which is the white dress version. And I was like, what in the LSD acid trip hell is this video? Like, it didn't really make sense as far as the story of the song went, and I was very, very confused. I had no idea what was happening. And so I was like, all right, maybe I'll try the other video, which is the red dress version, which I vastly prefer. But still, when I think the Wuthering Heights video, the white dress is still the one that pops into my head because that's the first one I saw. But I do like the red dress version better. I just think it fits the vibe of the song, the story, everything. I like that one better. But, however, I was listening to this song, and my grandfather, because this is where I was at my grandparents' house for the weekend, and they had computers in their basement. Because that was kind of where the kids all hung out, was in the basement, so that we weren't upstairs bothering the adults. We were downstairs, on the computer or watching TV or what have you. And my grandfather walked down the stairs when I was listening to this song, and he said, "That sounds like a mouse on helium." And I could not stop laughing. I mean, it was horrible and insulting, but it was his first reaction, and it was just the funniest. The look on his face, it was priceless. And I was like, he's not wrong. I mean, and so I didn't get it. I didn't understand. And I was like, all right, Kate Bush is not for me. This is just not it for me. And then years and years and years and years and years went by. Like, I'm talking over a decade went by. And I didn't really think anything of it. I had heard a cover of Wuthering Heights that I really, really liked, by Hayley Westenra. And I was like, okay, I like it when she sings it. So it's not a bad song. It's just I don't like the way that the vocals were done in the original. And then over a decade went by, and I somehow randomly ended up watching this documentary with my best friend. And it was a documentary on Kate Bush. And I don't know how or why I clicked on this documentary. But I was like, you know what? I haven't thought about Kate Bush in about 12 years. I'm gonna click on it and see if maybe now that I'm older I can finally make sense of Kate Bush. Maybe I just wasn't old enough to understand at the time. So I watched it, and I was like, okay, still not for me. Whatever. And then I heard this woman's work, and I heard cloud busting on The Handmaid's Tale. And I was like, oh my god, cloud busting was the one that really did it for me, because it played for longer in the show. So I was able to be like, okay, I really like this song. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's Kate Bush? Holy crap. And then then I was like, all right, well, now I need to go back and hear more. And then thus began my love affair with Kate Bush. But there are still certain songs that I'm like, I don't know about that one. But I truly think that you have to be of a certain age and a certain life experience level to truly appreciate Kate Bush. And I think I'm finally there. And Breathing is, oh my God, this performance was just, it was incredible. It was just Kate and a piano. And like I said, I had no idea that Kate could play the piano that way. I mean, yeah, it wasn't astounding, like Tori Amos level of piano playing, but it's still better than I could do in front of an audience. I mean, yes, I play piano, but I don't play in front of people. I'm one of those people that I can do it perfectly until somebody watches me. And then I'm like, oh, what even are notes? Like, what are keys? What do they do? So, kudos to her. That was fantastic. I really, really, really wish that there were more live performances of Kate for me to experience. One of my favorites is still, I don't know if any of you have seen it, the live version. I don't remember when it was. I don't remember the year. I know it was the 80s, but I don't remember what year specifically. It might have been like 88, 89, maybe 87. I don't remember. But there is a live performance of Kate performing Running Up That Hill with David Gilmour on guitar. It's it's fantastic. It's my favorite version of the song. It is, I mean, I love the original. It is just, but that guitar, it just, his, the guitar plays the main synthesizer part in this performance. And oh my God, it's just fantastic. And the bass player's got incredible hair. I'm just saying. If you are a fan of Kate Bush and you have not seen that performance, please do yourself a favor, look it up. You can tell in the beginning she's kind of nervous, but by the end of it, she is just out there living her best life and loving every minute of it, and it's fantastic. I go back to that performance all the time and watch it over and over again because I love seeing Kate have fun, and you can tell that Kate and David and I can't remember the bass player's name. I think his name might be Tony. He actually has a YouTube channel, and I think his name is Tony. I could be wrong. But you can just tell that they are having so much fun together, and that to me is what really makes a performance good, is when you can tell that the artist is having a good time with it. But anyway, thank you guys so much for all your suggestions. I saw that one suggestion was Fiona Apple, and let me just tell you guys, that's gonna be one of the next ones that we do, because I will always welcome any excuse to listen to Fiona Apple. Her first two albums were just instrumental in my young adult life. Like, Fiona Apple made me the person I am today, in a sense. I mean, not by herself, obviously. That was probably Stevie Nicks. but Tidal and When the Pond Breaks, that whole really long album title that nobody can remember all of it. Those two albums, like, they were my young adult years. So yes, I would use any excuse to listen to Fiona Apple, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for your suggestions. Please keep them coming. And hopefully now that I've got my new tripod, there won't be any more delays. Yeah, that's really all I've got. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being so patient, for all of your suggestions, all of your comments. And just, I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you guys have a great, I know I'm going to see you guys before then, but I'm going to go ahead and say it here anyway. I hope you guys have a great holiday season. And if you're somewhere that gets cold, stay warm. And if not, just, hey, enjoy the weather, because it's getting cold where I am. But anyway, I love you guys so much. And as always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to one another, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.